Chapter 51, Plan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 51. Plan. The next day, Theo quickly went toward the meeting spot, finding Aaliyah, who seemed to have been waiting for a while. She tied her blonde hair into a ponytail, so it wasn't in the way when she fought. She wore a white shirt coupled with a black vest. However, what he couldn't comprehend was her choice to use a skirt. "Ah, you are here." She smiled and waved her hand. "Ahem. Before we go, can I ask you something first?" "Sure. Ask me anything. Why do you wear a skirt? If I am not wrong, you have been wearing pants this whole time, and if we are moving around, isn't pants better?" Theo frowned, becoming worried about her well-being. Are you?" She stepped back while looking at him with a weird smile. "I'm just worried about your IQ," Theo waved her hand and said with a poker face. "IQ?" Aaliyah's eyebrows twitched. "You really don't hold back after I give you permission to talk casually, eh? Anyway, to answer your question, I have 2 reasons. I'm listening. Though, I will start questioning whether I should ask Major Sam to renounce." Wait. You don't need to finish that sentence. I'm going to tell you right now." She hurriedly closed his mouth, panicking. "It's training. Do you think I'm dumb? I can see that your skill is increasing by leaps and bounds, especially in breathing and control. What I am practicing right now is control. I don't know if your mentor has taught you this, but you can envelop your body with magic power. It's like you are wearing invisible full-body armor. But if I wear pants like usual, I would end up not being conscious about it. So, if I show a bit of my skin, I am forced to focus on protecting my skin from thorns or something, so it won't graze my skin. Of course, I only do it when we are going to a low-level area because I don't mind spending my magic power to maintain this ability for a whole day. If I need to go to a dangerous area, I will wear proper clothes." Theo closed his eyes, contemplating her answer. "Well, I can accept this reason. And. You said you have 2 reasons. Oh. The second reason is for you. I heard that boys like to take a glance over this." She smiled and slightly raised her skirt as if tempting him. Theo, on the other hand, opened his Skylink and took a note, typing 50 and .1 on it. "What is that number, Theo?" "Ah, since I allow you to call me Aaliyah, you don't mind me calling you Theo, right?" "I don't mind. As for your question, it's the point to see if I should continue being your partner. In other words, this is my mental number." Theo answered. "What will happen if it reaches 0? "Obviously, I will ask Major Sam to break this pair up." Her face became pale as she asked. "But a part of your word was a lie." "Let's see. I think you have another intention of keeping a tab on this number. You want to see how much I am going to be annoyed with your cold attitude, right? This way, you can see my seriousness in being your partner." Although he wanted to show no expression, he knew that it was impossible to hide from Aaliyah. Instead of fussing about it, he added another .1 out of spite. "Oops." Aaliyah gently rubbed her cheek. Fine. I won't say anything useless, alright? Can you just be nicer to a girl? But you will become more annoying later, thinking I will do anything for you." Theo shook her head. "Besides, I don't care that much. The moment you step here, you are not a female or male anymore. You are a fighter. If I need to kill, I will kill even you. With this attitude, no girls will like you, you know." She pouted. LC hearing this, Theo made a gentle smile and said without a care. "You don't need to worry about it. Not only girls, but guys also don't like me, saying I'm incompetent and bullying me." Aaliyah froze as she recalled the incident in school. With Lost confronting him, Theo must have experienced worse. I'm sorry." Instead of replying to her, Theo walked forward while waving his hand. His eyes were glaring at her as if telling her, if you keep spouting those useless things, I'm going to leave you behind. Wait for me. Aaliyah turned around and chased him as they ran forward. So, what is our plan? Your level is far above me, so I believe you have more say in this, considering this place relies on power, not rationality, asked Theo when she caught up as if nothing happened earlier. Aaliyah really couldn't handle Theo in this part as she answered honestly. For now, let's go to Art Beat's castle. I want to buy some spices. I know that it's going to take us 2 hours of running, but this is important. Don't tell me you are planning to camp. Theo narrowed his eyes. Nope. I mean, we still need to make our lunch and dinner ourselves. I don't want military ration or canned food, so I will be cooking for both of us. Of course, this included the other weeks. Well, if that's your intention. Should I pay half of it as well? No need. I will buy everything. How about buying a better spear for you? It's a normal rank spear, right? Theo looked at the spear in his hand and nodded. Yes, I think I will buy an elite rank spear. Then, no need. I will buy it with my own money. Theo shook his head. But you. She looked at him with a worried expression before she suddenly realized, thinking. Wait a minute. He could level up so much during the past few days. He must have hidden so many things and built his own secret this whole time. He probably won't lose against Lost. She drew a gasp as she stared at Theo dumbfoundedly. Suddenly, a smile appeared on her face. It seems I've chosen the right person. You are truly the most interesting one in our group. I am looking forward to working with you. Theo ignored her remark as they continued their journey. Chapter 52, Returning to the Weapons Shop. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 52. Returning to the weapons shop. 2 hours later, they arrived at the Art Beat's castle. We will meet again here in 30 minutes, alright. She smiled and waved her hand as she turned left, walking toward the market. Meanwhile, Theo looked to his right as he planned to visit a weapon shop. He remembered the weapon shop from back then and had no intention to return there, albeit the situation was far worse than he thought. He visited the first weapon shop he used to visit. Although the interior wasn't that much different from where he bought his elite rank weapons, he realized how good that weapon shop was. Ugh. I am not someone who is good with weapons, but I can feel the difference between the weapons here and that shop's. Theo furrowed his eyebrows when he saw the first elite rank spear in this shop. The spear before his eyes looked good. With the white handle and some sort of patterns beautifying the spear, it was apparent that the quality was good even for an elite rank spear. However, when he compared it with the spear he entrusted to his master, this one felt lackluster. He simply lost the desire to wield this spear. What is the difference? Theo thought before shaking his head, searching for another weapon, but to no avail. The result was the same. Why? Is there anyone that can explain it to me? Maybe I should ask Master later. For now, I need to search for another weapon shop to confirm my guess. Theo then visited around 10 weapon shops only to find them lacking. He was kind of disappointed, but at least he sold his current iron spear to one of the shops, so he didn't need to carry it around. In the end, he returned to where he brought his previous weapons. He hesitated right before the door as he thought, last time, I covered my face with a mask, so no one recognized my face. This time, I am buying as Theodore Griffith, so I think I will be fine. He gulped down and entered the shop. Once he entered the weapon shop after visiting 11 other shops, the difference became even clearer. I don't know what it is, but there is something that pulls me in. I really should ask Master later. Theo sighed and went around the shop, finding a blue spear. Although there was a golden flower pattern on the handle, he liked the look of it. And the blade seemed to be far sharper than his elite rank spear. I think I will take this. Theo nodded and took it to the counter, finding the same old man. This one please. Theo handed the spear to the old man. Sure. The old man nonchalantly nodded his head and took the spear before he saw who was buying it. Theo's appearance stunned him as he instinctively straightened his back as he became conscious of the pocket watch hidden underneath his shirt. Not wanting to be known, the old man tried hard to keep his poker face and continued. This spear is made of radiant blue ore while the blade is from the horn of stigmata rhino. It is considered one of the top elite rank spears and can be used for a long time. The price is 40,000 zills. Theo thought for a moment and nodded. I will take this. Okay. The old man took out his Skylink. Theo did the same and transferred the amount to him. Since he got every card from the hunt with his master back then, he had enough money to spare, so this spear was a kind of investment to himself, hoping that he could get stronger and get more money in the future. After the transaction was completed, Theo exited the place before finding Aaliyah in front of the shop. Ah, Theo. As expected, you are here. I forgot to suggest this shop to you since this is the best weapon shop in this place. Is that so? Theo understood that the moment he compared this shop to the others, but he had yet to know the reason. On the contrary, Aaliyah's voice stunned the old man as he dropped his jaw. My granddaughter is with him. How? Did someone arrange this? Wait. Did I overthink this? That Theo is Theodore Griffith, right? His heart was full of surprise, but Theo and Aaliyah had already left the vicinity. As the former head of the Ulrich family, he should still have the knowledge about what was going on with the other big families, including the Lang family. But no one knew his objective yet as he facepalmed, thinking about Theo and Aaliyah. That's right. If I am not wrong, they are in the training camp right now. They must have formed a group. Hayes, I don't know if this is fate or simply coincidence, but things will get interesting soon. Unaware of the old man's thought, Theo walked toward the castle's gate with Aaliyah while asking. That's right. Why did you say that shop is the best? Because the old man at the counter is my grandfather, so of course, it's the best. Theo dropped his jaw, his heart skipped a beat, and sweat started to drench his back. What did you say? Your grandfather. Of course, there is another reason. My grandfather loves to see good seedlings that have no influence backing them. Selling weapons there is the best way to get acquainted with them. And since he runs a shop, he will prepare the best things from a famous blacksmith. Though my grandfather can refine a weapon too. Not only are their skills guaranteed, but he also never sells a used weapon. In other words, if you found a weapon and sold it to that shop, that weapon would be reduced to metal before becoming a new weapon. This is very different from other shops that only repair the weapon and resell it. Aaliyah explained the reason why he had a mixed feeling from the other shops. But if there is a shop that famous, why? Theo narrowed his eyes. My grandfather doesn't use the family name for this. Besides, the location is deserted, so only a few people will come. And it's not like other people want to tell many people about it since the moment they know, the weapons will either be sold out or increase in price. I see. Theo's heart calmed down as he thought, I think that old man doesn't recognize my other identity, so I guess I am good for the time being. I should be more careful next time. So, what did he say to you? Theo tilted his head in confusion. He didn't say anything. Really? Yes. I just transferred the money without any talks. Is that so? Aaliyah felt conflicted as she doubted whether Theo was a great partner or not, remembering the praises he uttered about the Joker. Either way, no one was better than Theo in the group, so she decided to stick with him. Chapter 53, Aaliyah's Fighting Style. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 53. Aaliyah's Fighting Style. So, how about this area, asked Aaliyah while running toward the northeast. This area is filled with level 51.60 elite rank monsters, so I think this is good for you right now. And it's not too low for me to showcase my ability to you. After knowing my fighting style, we will hunt together to find the best pattern we can do as a team. How about it? Theo narrowed his eyes and nodded. Well, the area is only 1 hour away from the training camp, so I think it's a good place. That's good. Let's go then. The two traveled by foot. Although the journey took a bit longer, they still had an hour left before lunchtime, so Aaliyah offered a suggestion. I want to find a group of monsters. Probably more than 5. It's up to you. Theo shrugged as he remembered that Aaliyah managed to kill 50 elite rank bats by herself, albeit the last one almost killed him. They ran for a while until reaching their destination. Since Theo never came to this place, he was surprised to see the area was a prairie. Won't it be easy for the monsters to spot us? Asked Theo while scanning the area. Yes, but the same applies for both of us. Don't worry. Even though the grass around here reaches our knees, the data has confirmed that no small monsters like a snake or whatever appears, so I think it's relatively safe to rely on our eyes. Of course, I will be spreading my awareness the whole time. You know about it, right? Yes. Theo nodded with a serious expression and noticed a small hill on their right. How about we climb that hill before lunch? Not only can we get a good grasp of this place, but there are a few buffaloes on the way there. All right. Let's go then. I will trust your decision. Aaliyah agreed without hesitation as she started running. 7 buffaloes spotted. You stay here first and watch how I fight, okay? Theo nodded while taking out his Skylink to check their status. Name. Rhino Buffalo Level 51.56A3. Horned buffalo powered with speed and power. Don't touch their horns as it is sharp like a spear. Theo thought for a moment and stared at the black skinned buffaloes. The 2 curved horns seemed to be able to pierce his body, but the most dangerous one might be the one in the middle. The size is the same as a regular buffalo, but... Finding Aaliyah coming toward them, the buffaloes roared as they made a V formation. If Aaliyah leaped to the side, she would just get rammed, so this should be enough to stop her movement. Instead of changing her direction, she chose to charge toward them. When he was about to call her a fool, she took 1 step to the right. The buffaloes noticed it and slightly tweaked the direction, so the one in the middle could hit her. Too late. Theo clenched his teeth, knowing that Aaliyah didn't have enough time to avoid them. This was where Aaliyah proved him wrong. She never had any intention to dodge. After taking that step that completely killed her momentum, she spun her body to regain her balance, aligned herself with the center buffalo and slashed it into 2. What? Theo dropped his jaw. His eyes were wide open. Did she just fake that movement to throw their balance off and end it with 1 strike, but why? She could have done it without a fake. The answer came in the form of action. With them slightly turning to the left, it meant that after killing the first buffalo, the 3 on the left would be the closest ones to her. After all, they could only continue running according to the direction. With the back facing Aaliyah and the distance still within Aaliyah's range, she jumped toward them and killed the 3 in succession with a horizontal slash. Theo had no word to say as 4 of them had gone within the first move. Meanwhile, the other 3 tried to escape from Aaliyah, knowing their disparity. Unfortunately for them, Aaliyah's power was far too great as she caught up in a few seconds and killed them one by one. The grasses around them were smeared with their blood, dyeing this place with red paint. She didn't even use magic or any special technique. It only took her 1 fake move to end this fight. Aaliyah smiled and swung her sword once to get rid of the blood before sheathing her sword. Turning around, she asked Theo. How is it? I have no words to say. Theo facepalmed and sighed. Should I say as expected, a genius from the Ulrich family. Haha. I don't care if you want to say that, but just don't compare me to you, okay? We can't choose our parents after all. She is strong in that aspect too, huh? Theo's eyebrows twitched as he realized that it was hard to rile Aaliyah up. If you fought together with me, what would you do? Theo looked down and closed his eyes. Stay behind you and watch your back. What? You serious? Aaliyah looked at him with a weird expression. She didn't know whether this Theo actually observed her or not. Oi, oi. You can only get the EXP points if you kill them, you know. Why do you want to stay behind me? First of all, I don't understand why you would use a feint earlier. Second, who said I wouldn't do anything? Theo tilted his head in confusion. What I mean is 1 or 2 feet behind you, so the moment you strike the right, I will pierce my spear to the left side, killing them in one move. Ah, sorry. I misunderstood you. Aaliyah apologized. That's good enough. But do you think you are strong enough to kill them in one strike? Their skin is pretty tough, so I doubt you can do it at once, even with your current weapon. Is that so? Theo furrowed his eyebrows, wondering what he should do at that time. No need to think about it. First of all, you need to reach elite rank first. Is there a difference between normal rank and elite rank? It's only a couple of points difference, right? Yes and no. I will tell you about it while eating. Aaliyah turned around and looked at the dead body before slashing it to gain the meat. Can you bring that with us? I can't really bring it with my hand. Also, can you cook? A little bit, but I have never worked with buffalo meat. I will tell you about the recipe later, but you are the one going to prepare it, okay? Sure. Theo nodded as he grabbed the meat and walked toward the hill together. Chapter 54, Challenge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 54. Challenge. As soon as they climbed the hill, Aaliyah took out the spices before handing Theo the knife. Theo, on the other hand, prepared the meat according to Aaliyah's instruction. These two were cooperating with each other in order to create their lunch. So, I will explain why level 50 is normal rank while level 51 is elite rank. It is indeed related to status points, but they vary in number depending on someone's potential and blessing. Potential and blessing, huh? Theo narrowed his eyes. The majority comes from a blessing though. Since the potential will only vary 5 to 10 points, or in other words, 1 or 2 levels which are not much big of a deal. Oh. Do you have a blessing? Yes. But not as cool as you. Theo shrugged. Rather than playing the fool and being read by Aaliyah again, Theo instinctively answered her without telling the full story. This way, she shouldn't doubt him that much and didn't think of his blessing highly. Either way, you will get at least 10 bonus points if you have no blessing and potential. The maximum number that has been recorded is 50 points or 10 levels worth. Theo narrowed his eyes and contemplated, feeling a bit dissatisfied. Haha. Don't worry. It won't be that much in the beginning, but there are still champion, hero, supreme, mythical ranks. Last but not least, the realm and the legend, god rank. At that time, the bonus will add up and make you far stronger, you see. I see. That's understandable. Also, I think you will receive a special skill from your blessing. Depending on their rank, you will get more and more later. Do we need to experience a trial or something? Asked Theo, remembering what he learned from the internet. It depends on your blessing. Some make a trial, some give it directly, some tell you to do something. Basically, if you look up on the internet, most of them are true as it's based on their experience. Thank you. Theo nodded. It's fine. Anyway, let's eat. Theo agreed and finished his lunch. After that, he climbed the highest tree together with Aaliyah to observe the entire prairie. On the north, there were another group of buffaloes that might become their first target. However, Aaliyah's focus remained on a pack of horses not far from it. How about we hunt those monsters instead? If I am not wrong, it's called horned fighting horse. They are a bit more interesting because the information states they have a skill called haste. It basically increases your speed for a period of time. There are two versions, F rank and E rank. If we are lucky, we might be able to get that skill for you. What do you think? I understand. Thank you for doing this. Theo agreed without hesitation. By the way, are we going to clean it up first? What? Theo pointed at their tools on the ground. It's fine. We are not going far away from this place, so yeah, no one will steal them. And I think we will have dinner here, considering I don't really like the food in the camp. Won't it be too dark? Ah, right. You don't have night vision. Actually, I have glasses here with me equipped with night vision. I will lend it to you, so you will lead the way while I'm spreading my awareness to prevent any monsters from sneaking on us. Although I can't see their movement with my current level of awareness, I should be able to sense their presence. Okay. Good. Let's go. Seeing Aaliyah jump off the tree, he followed suit and went straight to the horses. He observed these 5 horses that seemed to have unity like the buffaloes earlier. It had brown dot-colored skin, but there was a strange feeling in this skin. It was as if the difference between looking at wood and metal. This one was the latter. Your spear should be sharp enough to kill one of them easily. However, it depends on your strength. I know. I will be watching your movement and match it. Theo nodded. Alright then. Aaliyah sped up, charging at the horses. They didn't have good teamwork like the buffaloes, but 2 of the horses suddenly increased their speed as if responding to Aaliyah. Aaliyah smiled and slashed her sword horizontally. However, the horn on top of the left horse's head struck the sword. Aaliyah narrowed her eyes when the horse managed to stop her. Seeing that the other one was about to hit her, she smirked and took another step with her right foot as the foundation. Turning her body to the right, she bent her knees and positioned her sword on the back. She then swung it upward, continuing until she sliced the right horse's head. With this, she managed to kill one horse while avoiding the other one. It's mine, thought Theo, who observed her movement, as he smiled and thrust his spear. Pierce. However, like Theo, Aaliyah also kept track of his movement and smiled while continuing her swing, cutting through the ground before splitting Theo's target into half from below. Ha! Theo opened his mouth in surprise when he saw Aaliyah actually kill the monster he was about to stab. Isn't that mine? Aaliyah, on the contrary, only looked at him with a teasing smirk. That smile of her made him shudder as if he noticed what she was doing. Is she testing me right now? It was weird to see someone like her become so understanding about the arrangement. Like how he tested how serious she was to form a group with him. She also tried to test him to see whether Theo had the skill or not to participate in Grand Gaia. She felt happy that Theo could understand her intention and said while jumping forward. The battles we are going to face in the future will surely be far more dangerous than this. You need to increase your ability to the point you can keep up with me. I can give you the skills or equipment that you need if it's necessary for us to win, but the problem is. She turned her head around and made the same smirk, saying. I won't be carrying you through the competition. So, can you keep up with me? This became a direct challenge from Aaliyah to Theo as well as her personal training to stimulate Theo's potential. After all, no matter how she worded it, Theo wasn't good enough to handle the 2nd or 3rd year, so she needed to do this to close that gap. Albeit, her action was misunderstood by Theo, who suddenly remembered what his master said about Aaliyah. His expression turned serious as he gazed at her back coldly. Taking a deep breath, he jumped forward with his spear. Fine by me. Chapter 55, Frustration. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 55. Frustration. There were 3 other horses remaining, so Theo planned to kill at least one of them. On the other hand, Aaliyah arrived in front of them as she stomped the ground with her right hand, channeling more power from her lower half to her upper body, specifically her hand. Swinging her sword from right to left, she struck every single horn on the horses' heads and pushed them back by using her pure strength. She then took 3 steps diagonal to the right and slashed her sword before the horses could react. This is my chance, thought Theo as he went in the opposite direction to kill the farthest horse from her. Unfortunately for him, there was a reason why Aaliyah actually positioned herself on the side. If her back faced Theo, she wouldn't be able to see his action, meaning that there was a chance for Theo to take the kill. However, Aaliyah had yet to allow Theo to take the kill since she wanted to rile up his ego. She thought, grandfather said that someone should have the talent to lose. Meaning that if he kept losing and didn't eventually try to do something to escape from that trap and just give up, he is just a loser. That's why to test someone's potential, I need to make him feel bad first to see if his potential can truly bring him to Grand Gaia. Theo, on the contrary, didn't notice this reason and simply thought he needed to kill a single monster among the remaining 2. Aaliyah smiled as a red fire gushed out of her hand, enveloping her sword. Before Theo could even reach their position, she made another swing from below and extended her own blade by using the flame. Theo widened his eyes, never expecting Aaliyah to use a skill. Suddenly, he came to a realization that he had relied on his magic bullet and clones so much because he knew he could kill all these monsters by himself if his master didn't ban the usage of the 2 skills. No, he had realized it, he just underestimated the scale. Aaliyah smiled, turned around, and stared at Theo, who halted his steps. I didn't say I wouldn't use a skill, right? You're free to use your own skill and try to get a single kill while I'm here. Without waiting for his reaction, she already touched the horses and grabbed all the cards they dropped. She then headed to the buffaloes they saw earlier. Come on. I'm going to leave you behind, you know. Theo shook his head and followed her before 4 buffaloes came into his vision. Just like how coordinated the buffaloes Aaliyah killed earlier, the 4 of them divided into 2 groups and tried to hit Aaliyah from 2 different directions. Aaliyah checked Theo's position, smiled, and jumped to the right, heading toward the 2 buffaloes. Right before the buffalo hit her, she leaped above them and struck the left one's head. Unfortunately for her, the buffalo blocked it with its horn and threw her into the air. Little did the buffalo know that Aaliyah turned out to have predicted this move and used that momentum to spin her body and extend her blade again to cut the first buffalo. She landed on the grass, jumped backward, and miraculously stood on top of the buffalo like it was nothing. She even took that chance to see Theo's expression and gestures. The buffalo knew they would crash into each other, so it turned to the left while the 2 in front of her went in the opposite direction. Aaliyah didn't allow such a thing to happen and kicked the buffalo's neck strong enough to force it to run toward the right, ending up crashing with the 2 buffaloes. The 2 buffaloes slipped and fell to the grass on top of each other while the one Aaliyah rode managed to stay on its track with only slowing down its speed to avoid falling. On the contrary, Aaliyah had jumped off his back and stepped on the 2 bulls before cutting their necks simultaneously. Theo saw this as a chance. Not only was this the last buffalo, but its balance had also been thrown off by Aaliyah. He needed to end this in 1 strike before Aaliyah could make another move. Due to the distance between them, the buffalo managed to recover a bit and charge at Theo. Pierce. Theo thrust his spear toward the buffalo, albeit as one would expect from an elite rank monster, it blocked Theo's spear with its horn. He suddenly remembered what Aaliyah said about him not having enough power to handle the buffalo from head on. Theo clicked his tongue as he was so disappointed in himself. Not wanting to give up, Theo clenched his teeth and pulled his spear, so the buffalo could come closer. I need to calm down. I am not done yet. Taking a small step behind him, he threw a punch from the left. Monkey fist. M.O. This is it, thought Theo as he planned to thrust his spear, albeit Aaliyah's voice resounded in his right ears. Thanks. The buffalo was indeed hit and moved slightly to the right, but more importantly, Aaliyah took advantage of it and killed the buffalo in a single strike. Oi! Veins started bulging on his forehead since he thought Aaliyah would just let him kill this one. Aaliyah confronted that anger with a serious expression as she stretched her hand. As I said earlier, try to kill a monster in my watch. You're free to do anything. Shrugging her shoulders, she started getting all the dropped things from the buffaloes, ignoring Theo's anger. Aaliyah's constant provocation truly annoyed him as he planned to pay her back. However, he needed something to allow such actions, so Theo tried to calm his heart down. With the way I am right now, I won't be able to keep up with her. Even if I come from a different direction, she will be able to spot me with her awareness alone. She will just see me right after to ascertain my intention, muttered Theo while looking at Aaliyah back. Is this the gap between us? No, Master said normal and elite rank difference is like between normal people and athletes. It's still possible to beat her. That's why I need to find that something. Meanwhile, Aaliyah, who got the constant stare from Theo, gulped down and thought, have I actually pushed him too much? Chapter 56, Blind Spot. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 56. Blind Spot, KH/SH*T. Theo cursed as he thrust his spear, only to find Aaliyah's sword slashing the monster's head. Despite his determination to control Aaliyah, there wasn't a single attempt he managed to succeed. Aaliyah killed all the monsters for the last 3 hours, leaving Theo in the dust. Huffed. Theo panted as his forehead was covered in sweat. However, the frustration in his heart was more painful than anything that could hurt him right now. He never thought that someone actually pissed him off this much. Aaliyah took a deep breath and sheathed her blade while looking around. It's been 3 hours. Are you giving up soon? Theo's eyebrows twitched. She wasn't trying to mock him or something. Her flat tone only told him that it was a genuine question, but the fact that she was not saying that just to be mean was even more infuriating. Theo clenched his fists and hit the ground before looking at Aaliyah. Aaliyah smiled when she saw his eyes that seemed to haven't lost their light. That's enough for the answer. With my current pace, I'll never be able to keep up with her. Theo looked down and closed his eyes, recalling what his master said. He stared at Aaliyah's back and thought, search it. I have to find the power that I lack. Perhaps, changing my tactic is not enough. Something bigger. Oh, wait. There's that option. Theo was lost in thought even when he walked behind Aaliyah. Meanwhile, Aaliyah sensed his gaze as if there was a wolf behind her that seemed to be waiting for her to lower her guard before devouring her. The stare had changed. She instinctively gulped down as she continued moving forward. 5 bulls spotted, Aaliyah shouted, reminding Theo that the enemies were coming. 50 feet before them, a group of bulls charged at her. Aaliyah furrowed her eyebrows and decided to step forward, not understanding Theo's current state. I need to lecture him after this. Anyway, I need to end this first. She pouted and saw the bulls spread out to pincer her. An orange dot-colored flame burst out of her sword. The bulls seemed to be wary of it, creating confusion for a split second. Seeing their eyes in action, Aaliyah leaped to the left to avoid the bull from the opposite side. Flaming sword. Surprisingly, Aaliyah slashed her sword to the bull behind her even though there were at least 30 feet between them while the one in front of her was only 10 feet away. The fire covering her sword suddenly flew forward, forming a crescent-shaped flame. M.O. The bull panicked for a second, albeit it was too late. Boom! The fire exploded the moment it touched the bull, roasting it until it died. Meanwhile, the fire in her sword completely vanished, so there was no way to do something like that again. And she needed to face the bull that was about to hit her. Aaliyah took a deep breath, jumped on top of the bull, and placed her hand on its body, supporting her body to stay afloat before slicing the bull's head. After killing the second bull, she launched herself into the air by using the power in her hand, preparing to kill the other 3. Why didn't he move yet? Did he seriously give up? Was it wrong to rile him up this whole time? While having her own thoughts, Theo seemed to have no interest in helping her until one moment. Ah, so that's how it is. Blind spot. A human's field of vision is only in front of them. So, whenever someone needs to check their surroundings, they have to move their head for that to be possible. The same applies to Aaliyah. She can predict my movement just by seeing my gesture. If I continue following her in her blind spot while seeing through what she sees, He smiled and rose from the ground. She said that her awareness can only detect my presence and not my movement, right? While Theo found his answer, Aaliyah turned around, finding two bulls, one faster than the other, coming toward her. She slashed the bull from below, striking the bull's head. Clang! The bull managed to react to her attack and struck her sword to avoid the slash and let the one next to him attack Aaliyah. Aaliyah, on the contrary, already predicted it and straightened her wrist, ready to strike the second bull. She slightly turned her body and head to the left to focus on the second bull, but... Aaliyah swung her sword before widening her eyes as Theo suddenly entered her awareness domain. She tried to look at him, but her head already turned to the left, so even if she tried to look at the edge of her vision, she wouldn't be able to find him. At the same time, the timing was so perfect that her sword was already in motion, so there was no way to stop or change its direction. But it got even more shocking when she lowered her vision, finding a spear had pierced the first bull's head. Theo! Aaliyah caught a glimpse of Theo, who finally appeared in her vision, killing his first monster of the day. Unfortunately for her, Theo ignored her voice and even used her existence as bait to attract the second bull's attention before he pushed the spear again to pierce its head. Before she could react, Theo already pulled his spear and shouted. "Watch out! On your left!" Aaliyah clenched her teeth and turned around, barely stopping the last bull's charge. Surprisingly, Theo's breath brushed her ear as he was literally a few inches away from her. Even her awareness showed her that he was right behind her. No, it could be said he was already too close to her, as if he wanted to hug her at any moment. Thinking Theo actually wanted to do something to her, she flinched and let the bull get closer as she lost her grip. This was the time Theo had been waiting for. His spear emerged from the side, literally 1 inch away from her waist, and struck the bull's head. Because of the bull's momentum, he grabbed Aaliyah's waist and got pushed back by the bull until they stopped. Killed a Rekiran bull, Elite, EXP plus 71, killed a Rekiran bull, Elite, EXP plus 71, killed a Rekiran bull, Elite, EXP plus 71. Theo ignored the message as he took a step back as Aaliyah spun her body and looked at Theo with a shocked expression, thinking, the strike that killed the 2 bulls and the way he killed the third one. Did he use me as bait? Aaliyah drew a gasp as her body shuddered. Theo's eyes were just like a predator that aimed at her instead of the monsters. Suddenly, he opened his mouth, saying with a cold tone. My physical ability may not be enough to keep up with you, but it doesn't mean that's all there is to a fight. Just like a great person once said, to beat a genius, you need to learn from them. I will read what you've seen and react to it before you even do. And I won't stop at just reading your movement, I'm going to predict what you will see and eventually devour your talent. He clenched his fists and couldn't help but smile. That smile didn't show his happiness to beat her this time. Instead, it was a smile showing his excitement in controlling a genius. A normal, controlling a genius. The moment he could read her like a book, it was the moment she was completely at his mercy. Even Aaliyah took a step back as she instinctively felt the pressure emanating from his eyes, blinking her eyes a few times. Did I just do something I shouldn't do? Chapter 57, Unsealed Talent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 57. Unsealed talent. Although there was a huge gap between them, Aaliyah instinctively felt the pressure coming from Theo as if he truly was capable of doing something like that. She opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but the words stuck on her throat as if an unknown object preventing. No, as if Theo put a collar on her neck, choking her. This was the first time Aaliyah experienced something like this. Normally, people would come to her while lowering their heads, knowing that they had no chance with her and followed her command. Theo might be different from others, but she still believed Theo would become like them sooner or later. She thought she would be taking advantage of him while he remained this way. However, everything changed when he showed this side of him. She had no doubt that Theo would change, albeit that transformation surely reached another level. Despite knowing that she might be devoured and probably end her career, Aaliyah couldn't help but smile. A fuzzy feeling arose in her heart, turning it into excitement. Unfortunately, before she could say anything, her attention was taken away by something from afar. Both Aaliyah and Theo turned their heads at the same time, finding 5 four-legged monsters. They had the height of a horse, but their bodies were that of a tiger. And their heads looked like a bear. Theo took this chance to point his skylink at them. Name: the Tiger Horse Level 53.58. A monster with a feature of a bear and tiger, but acts like a horse. Beware of its speed and sharp teeth. We need to handle them, Theo shouted at Aaliyah, who was still in a trance because of the shock Theo gave her, so they could start taking their positions. Ah! Aaliyah shook her head to regain her focus and nodded as she ran toward them. The orange fire appeared again on her sword as she sent it flying toward the group. Boom! It exploded again, killing the middle monster. Meanwhile, the other 4 separated in 2 directions. The right one looped around her while the left pair charged head-on. Aaliyah ignored the right one and moved forward, trying to kill that pair. However, Theo once again used her as a shield, completely hiding his body behind her. The moment she and the 2 monsters were about to clash, Theo took one step further and appeared next to them, piercing their heads in succession. Killed of a tiger horse, EXP plus 71, killed of a tiger horse, EXP plus 71, Aaliyah widened her eyes as her head became even more in disarray. She spun her body with an anxious expression while trying to attack the remaining 2 monsters. Then Theo's voice resounded in her ears. That's right. Kill the right one. Hurry up. She drew a gasp as she instinctively followed his word and killed the right one in a single slash. Of course, with Theo's current strength, he might be able to control her a bit, but by no means was he strong enough to get all the kills. He understood it and gave a portion of action to Aaliyah. Sensing Theo behind her, ready to strike, she gritted her teeth and dropped to the ground while thinking. With the sword on my right hand, it's impossible to kill the monster. If I keep this up, we can kill it. Is this what they call a real team? This is the team that I hope. Suddenly, she had the same feeling as earlier, as though Theo was putting a collar on her neck. It was when a thought appeared. Is this good enough? Giving Theo her everything so we can win. This is what we're going to do to fight against those. Yet, at this moment, she realized what had been going on. This was like a crossroad for her. If she let Theo reign her, she couldn't see the path to victory for Grand Gaia. Theo might be good at this point, but they needed to be far better if they wanted to compete against international students. No. This is not enough. She gritted her teeth, switched her sword to the other hand, and released her killing intent. I'm sorry, grandfather. I will return to who I used to be. While Aaliyah was deep in thought, Theo successfully confused the monster as his body became visible the moment Aaliyah fell on her knees. Taking advantage of that split-second confusion, Theo thrust his spear while thinking. This is it. Unknowingly, just like him earlier, Aaliyah's expression turned cold as her blade swung faster than anything she had shown this whole time, slashing the monster's neck. That swing was sharp, precise, ruthless, and swift. Her previous fighting style couldn't be compared to that one swing. Theo's rhythm was disrupted as he looked diagonally to his right, finding Aaliyah on her knees. It turned out that she swung that sword with her left hand while using that right hand to support her body to make a clean cut with her left hand. He stepped to the right to avoid the monster's momentum and looked at her eyes. This wasn't even a fighting spirit or something like that. He literally sensed her killing intent from her eyes. The pair of eyes that always showed its warmth now became unbelievably cold and ruthless. For 3 seconds, their eyes locked at each other, sensing an indescribable emotion between both of them. It was like a rival that kept fighting against each other to show their supremacy but also trusted their back to each other like that of a comrade. Suddenly, Aaliyah blinked her eyes a few times and made a big smile. The killing intent from earlier disappeared without a trace, replaced by the usual fluffy feeling from her. You said you want to devour me, right? Try it. I will make sure to take 2 steps forward in every step you take to reach me. Aaliyah made a big grin. It seems meeting you is the best thing I can get in this stage of training. Theo closed his eyes, let out a long sigh, and shook his head helplessly. There were so many things he wanted to say, but he chose to walk toward her and stretched his hand. Fine by me. She took his hand with a smile as he helped her up. However, instead of rising to the ground, she pulled Theo as she laid down on the ground. Theo stumbled and fell to the ground. When he raised his head and was about to scold her, he heard her saying, "Aha. Let's rest first. I'm tired, mentally. I don't know if I can face you continuously like this." Theo lowered his head to the ground and sighed. "Whatever, I want to thank you for showing what I lack right now. You can do everything you like, I will keep up with you." "Sorry, I take that back. It's not keeping up with me. You are my teammate right now, so I'm counting on you, partner." She smiled. "Suit yourself." Theo harumphed and looked away. It might be because they were too focused on each other, but they didn't realize that their hands were still entangled as they laid on their back, facing the blue sky. Chapter 58, Aaliyah's Left Hand. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 58. Aaliyah's Left Hand. A decade ago. Inside the garden of the Ulrich family, a young Aaliyah Ulrich took a deep breath and stared at the training dummy made of straws that had been fully equipped with metallic armor. On her left hand was a short black sword that she often used for practice. The length was perfect for a 9-year-old girl, so she didn't complain. Raising her sword above her head, she took a step forward and swung her sword downward, slicing the dummy into 2, including the armor. Huffed. Suddenly, a deep voice resounded in her ears, saying, "Oh, my little Aaliyah is training." She turned around and saw a middle-aged man with blonde hair. He wore a black suit as if he just got out of work. Despite his stern face, his smile would be able to melt one's heart. "Papa." The young Aaliyah made a big smile as she dropped the sword and jumped toward him, hugging him tightly. "Ha, come here. This is my little Aaliyah." He laughed and hugged her back while stroking her hair. "How are you doing?" "I'm fine. It's been a while since Papa is home, so can I show you the result of my training for the last 2 weeks?" She smiled and crossed her arms, looking very proud. "Oh. Show me, show me." He became excited as he released her. She then looked at the grass beneath his feet and sat down without shame. "Go, go. Papa wants to see Aaliyah in action." She repeatedly nodded her head before going to the right, grabbing another practice dummy and planting it on the ground. "That's right. Since you have successfully cut the current armor, how about Papa giving you elite rank armor that you can use to practice? This one won't be cut by your sword for a while." He smiled and walked toward the storage room in the garden. "Really? Grandfather doesn't want to lend me the armor?" She looked at her father with an expectant face. "That's because you don't call him Grandpa. If you call him that, I'm sure he will give you one." "Humph, Grandfather is a bully. Aaliyah won't call him Grandpa." She pouted and looked away. "Huh, wait for me, all right. I will grab it for you. He waved his hand and started walking. Aaliyah nodded while humming, expressing the joy in her heart. Not long after, her father returned and brought a blue armor, putting it on the dummy. This is a good one. I'm sure you will like it. He smiled, sat on the ground and cheered for Aaliyah. She made a big smile before she picked up her sword. Suddenly, her aura changed. The smile was replaced by a serious expression. Her warm eyes turned cold as if she was possessed by something. Her father already realized it, knowing that she was a genius. However, it might be due to his love, his vision only contained Aaliyah in it. He completely ignored the sword on her hand and miscalculated how much she had practiced during the time he was away. The moment she struck the sword with the same blow as earlier, a cracking sound rang like a thunderclap in his ears. The sword snapped into two, with the other part bounced back toward Aaliyah. Aaliyah couldn't react at all as only a shocked expression remained on her face. A shadow suddenly appeared from the left and completely blocked everything from touching her. Aaliyah. Are you all right? Aaliyah was shivering as she raised her head, terrified. Her mouth opened and closed again and again as if she was freezing. Using all her energy, she said, "Papa. Are you all right?" "I'm fine." He made a gentle smile. But. Tears started swelling up and flowing down her cheeks. Even Aaliyah could understand with her eyes that the sword hit her father. "Don't worry, Papa is fine. You did nothing wrong. In fact, Papa was in the wrong this time. How about you go back first and call your mother here?" She broke free from her father and rushed toward the house. Her feet gave up several times, but she continued pushing herself to stand up and run while shouting, "Mother! Mother!" Meanwhile, her father closed his eyes and sighed, trying to take out the sword with his magic power. Looking at Aaliyah's terrified expression was more painful than the wound on his back. 2 months later, he met his father, Nart Eilric, in his study room. "Father." Nart Eilric let out a long sigh and shook his head. "It's impossible. She still feels down and can't even use her left hand again. I have done everything I can, but it's useless. The thought of her killing her own beloved father. Aaliyah is the one who suffered the most. I'm sorry, father. If only I used my magic stop." Nart slammed the table with a serious expression. "It's not your fault. It's your instinct to protect your daughter. That's it. There's nothing wrong with that." He looked down and clenched his fists. "There is only one thing that can be done." "What is it?" "Abandon her left hand." Nart shook his head helplessly. "You should know that something will emerge the moment she wields a weapon with that hand. When I asked someone I trusted, he told me that Aaliyah is the same as him. She is truly a genius. Even I am not confident to say I know everything about her. That's why I think of sealing that left hand even if it means sealing her talent." "But." Nart waved his hand and stopped him, adding, "Of course. I am not saying that she will abandon it forever. I will just think of it as her in a slump. That's all. According to my friend, there will be a time where she meets a certain condition that she doesn't mind unsealing it again. After that, she will become stronger than ever." He sighed. "I think we can only do it that way. I will be leaving everything to you, father. I'm afraid that my existence will scare her more if I'm present. Hence, it's better to distance myself for a while and let her recover first." "I understand." "Well, just think of it as your own punishment, you idiotic doting father." Nart then sighed and rose from his seat, leaving the room. He quickly made his way to the garden and found Aaliyah sitting there with a sad look. "Aaliyah." He gently called her name. Turning around, she wanted to cry again. "Grandfather. I have a present for you." He smiled and presented a black sword again. "This is an elite rank sword. This is the best elite rank sword that grandfather has ever made. I'm sure that it won't snap again. Grandfather will also tell you how to maintain its quality. But Aaliyah looked at her shaking hands. Every time she held a sword, her hand felt weak. She was afraid that the sword would hurt her family again. However, Nart Ilrik made a gentle smile and opened her right hand. Then, how about you use this hand? I'm sure you know that your right hand is weaker than your left hand. But if it's weak, doesn't it mean you can't hurt anyone again? Aaliyah sobbed as she looked at the sword, finding that she could hold it just fine. She cried again. Grandpa. Is it all right for me to wield a sword again? Of course. Aaliyah is the best, so I'm sure that even without your main hand, you can still become the best. He smiled. Grandpa will help you in getting used to the other hand. Grandpa. He patted her head and asked, but can you promise Grandpa something? Promise. Yes. Promise Grandpa that when there is a time that you think everything will go away from you, don't hesitate to use your left hand again. It may be 10 years from now or it may never come, but Grandpa wants you to promise me this first. Is that all right? She sobbed and repeatedly nodded her head as she dropped the sword on the ground and hugged him tightly. Grandpa. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's fine, it's fine. You did nothing wrong. He smiled and stroked her hair. After a while, she suddenly asked with a hesitant tone. Can Aaliyah visit Papa? Aaliyah wants to apologize for hurting him. More importantly, Aaliyah wants to apologize for worrying him. Thinking for a while, Nart agreed to her request with a smile. Sure. Let's go to your father. Grandpa will accompany you, hun. Chapter 59, Side Effects. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 59. Side effects. After continuing the hunt for a few more hours, the night finally came. Aaliyah and Theo returned to their base camp, where they left some tools, mostly for cooking. Since Aaliyah was satisfied, she cooked a full-course meal for both of them. Although it wasn't as good as his master's, it was better than average. His cooking couldn't be compared to her, to be honest. They sat in front of a small campfire, eating their meal peacefully with some crickets noises in the background. Suddenly, Theo opened his mouth, asking the question he had this whole time. Why did you not use your left hand earlier? I mean, even an amateur like me could see that your swing was faster, sharper, and more refined compared to your right hands. Are you trying to take pity on me? Aaliyah looked down with a sad expression. Theo sighed and shook his head helplessly. That's not important. I just want to know whether you are going to continue using your left hand or right hand. Aaliyah smiled and raised her head. I am sorry that I can't share this story with you. However, I can assure you that I will continue using my left hand. Though, I'm not sure whether to use it or not when fighting against the others. Why? That's dumb. Sorry. Aaliyah looked down, recalling her past again. Somehow, her left hand started shaking and forced her right hand to stop it. I think you need to know this one. After losing the ability to wield the sword with my left hand, I began practicing my right hand. But even with my right hand, which I think only amounts to 30% of my power, I'm still considered the number one in the school. I'm just afraid that if I use my left hand again, people will fear me just like how I fear my own left hand. Trauma, huh? Theo narrowed his eyes and contemplated. Sorry. I'm sorry to say this, but I will just say what I've seen about you. I am assuming that you're nice to everyone because of your trauma. Part of it. Well, I do indeed like them, but the thought of me losing them scares me. I'm pathetic, right? It's fine to make fun of me. Yes. The reason for your trauma is pathetic, dumb, childish, insignificant, idiotic. I can insult it with every word I know. Theo suddenly paused and Aaliyah looked down, knowing that she needed to face this at some point. However, Theo continued with something outside her expectation. Yes. It is everything, but not humorous. Hearing that answer, she couldn't help but smile. Though, I still need to say it. Annoying. Theo narrowed his eyes. What will you do in front of death? Will you keep it away like this? That. I can't answer. But as long as we are hunting monsters together, I think I will be using my left hand. Theo thought there was a need to force her to overcome that trauma, but the only way to do it was by risking his life. At the moment, he didn't feel like gambling with his life for her, so he chose to discard that option. That means it's in the second stage of training. Theo narrowed his eyes and contemplated. I want to confirm it again. You don't want to use your left hand in the second stage of training. I think yes. Even with that, I'm pretty strong, you know. Whatever. I don't care whether you're strong or not. I only know that you'll be significantly weaker than the current you. Ugh. She looked away, embarrassed. Whatever. Theo shrugged. Since I can observe your movement in your top form, I won't have the trouble to control you during the next training session. Hee hee. Ahem. She leaned to the back, looking at Theo with a weird expression. I think you should keep that to yourself. Ha. It's intentional. Just so you know that you're going to follow my instructions from this point on. Objections are not allowed, said Theo with a serious expression. He truly believed that would be the case. Ugh. That serious face of yours gives me a chill. To think you keep maintaining your position in my blind spot. You can't read me that way while I can know what you see. Theo stuck his tongue out. Anyway, I think we should get going. True. Before rising from the ground, she grabbed her bag and reached the cards in it. I think you can have these cards. There are many materials and skill cards. I believe if you sell them all, you can get around 30 to 40,000 zills, considering there are a few elite rank materials. If you add the ones you got, it will reach 40 to 50,000 zills. Are you sure? Yep. It's not like I need it. If I hunt in the area around my level, I can even get 100,000 in a day alone. So, it's not a big deal. She paused for a moment while looking left and right, continuing with a hesitant tone. If you want to repay me, how about going easy on me? You're truly ruthless in this mind game. That's impossible. Theo shrugged and took the cards. But thank you for giving me these cards. You're welcome. Theo looked through all the cards. They managed to get 8 skill cards, in which one of them was an elite rank card on today's hunt alone. This could be used for upgrading his skill since he didn't need skills other than the elite rank skill. Skill. Haste, E, effect. Increase the user speed by 30% for 5 minutes. Due to the effect it brings to the body, this skill can't be used for another 2 hours. There is a side effect. Theo narrowed his eyes. Well, yes. If I'm not wrong, haste increases your metabolism to increase your speed, so if you do it again, it surely has a side effect. So I suggest you not use it carelessly. But that means I can still use it, right? Yes. People often use it to escape since having disabled legs is better than losing your life. But I'm not too sure about its side effects. In fact, starting from E rank, you will see side effects or something like that, making you unable to use the skills continuously. Even the skill from the God of Fortitude. Theo narrowed his eyes. Yes. She nodded. Theo narrowed his eyes and wondered why his clone didn't have any side effects. He thought, is it due to the fact that it starts from F rank skill? Maybe I will see it when I receive the next skill. But how about Magic Bullet? I should ask my master about it. I only need 2 more levels before reaching elite rank, so next Sunday will be the day I become an elite rank fighter. Chapter 60, second phase. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 60. Second phase. After packing all their luggage, they made sure there was no trash left in the area since they didn't want to destroy the environment. Aaliyah then took out glasses from her pocket and handed them to Theo. The glasses had a rectangular shape with a red frame which would look good on Aaliyah but weird on Theo. Either way, Theo didn't care about his appearance, so he took the glasses from her and put them on. The frame seemed to be adjusting its size to match Theo's head. Even when he shook his head, the glasses didn't fly away, so it would be fine even if he used his full speed when running back. Surprisingly, the dark world which lowered his vision range to only 10 feet in front of him had brightened to the point he had no problem in seeing somewhere around 50 to 60 feet in front of him. This is... Theo drew a gasp. The scenery he looked at was certainly not like when the sun was up. It was filled with blue light from the moon. Yet, it was bright enough to find anything he needed. It's good, isn't it? Aaliyah smirked. Yeah. As expected from a rich young lady. Should I grab your thigh right now? Theo threw a joke with a poker face. Aaliyah surprisingly didn't answer him as she looked at Theo with eyes wide open, wondering if she heard it right. Glancing over her, he frowned. What? No. I'm just surprised that you can joke. Theo's eyebrows twitched as he really wanted to hit this girl for thinking of him as someone who couldn't even talk properly. Is that a problem? No, I am just glad you can do something like that. After all, it means you trust me a bit, right? Theo turned around, added another minus on the point, and started running to their camp. I was wrong. I shouldn't do it since you would make fun of me. Wait. I didn't mean to. Wait for me. I apologize, okay? Theo. Sorry. She hurriedly chased Theo, trying to talk it out during the journey. Although it was annoying to have someone's voice echoing in your ears continuously, the journey, at least, wasn't that boring because of it. The next day, Major Sam had gathered them in the middle area. Unlike the previous day, Theo could find a bracelet on the side. We have measured your strength, stamina, and other things during the first week. For this entire week, you're going to wear this weight all the time, including sleep. This is where the real training starts, so come to me if you feel like quitting. Major Sam shrugged. We will be calling your name. The people with the name start from A to D follow me. I will be handing the weight. Most of them wanted to complain since the training was already hard enough. Yet, it would become even harder from this point on. Some of them already had a thought of giving up because they couldn't find a need to get some extra points by working this ward. After all, it was just a matter of a few levels. It would be easier for them to get levels instead of training like this. Theo, on the other hand, was amazed because his master truly predicted it. He should be asking about the training again to his master to know what kind of training he needed to endure next. Either way, he followed the person who seemed to be handling him. It was the bald soldier that questioned Major Sam a week ago. This is your weight. You need to wear it all the time. Don't worry. It's waterproof, so you can wear it when you take a bath in the river during the night. The bald soldier smiled and handed 4 bracelets to him. I understand. Thank you very much. Theo nodded. But as soon as he grabbed those bracelets, he stumbled to the ground and dropped the bracelets. You need to be careful. They are heavy, you know. What the heck? Theo screamed inwardly as he looked at the bald soldier with a shocked expression. May I know their weight? Haha. Major Sam seemed to like you, so he watched your performance more than anyone else. He ordered the headquarters to give you 40 pounds each. Don't worry. It's possible with your physique. He smirked and patted his shoulder. Seriously. Theo just got the fright of his life. His weight alone couldn't even be compared to these weights, and they wanted him to wear this. Although his body seemed to be more powerful than normal humans, it would surely take a toll on him. Unfortunately for him, he couldn't rant at all and accepted it with a smile. Ah, I see. Thank you. I'm just wondering whether I can do this or not. Ahaha. Don't worry, young man. I have confidence in you. The bald man suddenly got closer and whispered. It seems that the Major has prepared body armor for next week. The weight is around 100 pounds. Theo facepalmed and quickly took the bracelets with him, leaving the place as he didn't want to think about it. Although he'd realized how dangerous it was to get into someone's superior's radar due to Aaliyah, he never expected Major Sam to favor him like this. He recalled the first time he met Major Sam during the first run. It must be where he entered him. I truly have no luck with this. Theo sighed and reluctantly put on the bracelets. One in each leg and hand. He then tried to move his body around to see the difference. As expected, it reduced his ability for about half and he would become tired faster. The situation was truly dangerous to him. After everyone got their portion, the training started with the same schedule. The first was running. As one would expect, the training became harder and harder. The dense forest became harder to dodge because their feet refused to move, the gentle slope turned into a dangerous zone because the weight pulled them down faster than their body normally reacted, the sprint exhausted their stamina, their feet sunk even deeper in the swamp area, and their body refused to climb the steep hill. It was a disaster for most people, making them wish to drop out of this training. However, Theo kept his belief, and since he already had gotten the strongest partner, there was no way he would throw this chance. And another disaster occurred on the other side where the principal was going to meet the one in charge of all this training.